Today, we're going to talk about the biggest difference between people, and that difference lies in cognitive awakening. As Liu Ya once said, everyone has a period of awakening, and the earlier you wake up, the more it shapes your destiny. True awakening only happens when we break free from our original ways of thinking and let go of fixed biases. In this complex and ever-changing era, many people are just drifting along with the current, busy but numb, exhausted but directionless. As the book Cognitive Awakening reveals, we try to be diligent, but laziness wins. We want to work hard but fall into inefficiency. We aim to improve but constantly take the wrong path. In the end, all the effort evaporates. Half a lifetime passes and we still haven't achieved anything. Those who truly stand out in life all have one thing in common. They are far ahead in cognition. Cognitive Awakening is a practical guide for personal growth. Within 2 months of its release, it had already been reprinted 5 times, selling over 150,000 copies and receiving a high rating of 8.7 on Douban. A senior book critic described reading it as like getting hit over the head or suddenly waking up in a rainstorm. The author, Zhou Ling, is an ordinary person like you and me. She once felt lost and hopeless, but through cognitive awakening, she broke free from that confusion. Her method works for any ordinary person feeling stuck. Zhou Ling wrote repeatedly in the book, "Cognitive awakening is the driving force of personal change and the root cause of the gap between people." In today's world, unless we activate our minds and open our thinking, we risk being left behind. Those who remain mentally asleep become nothing more than tools. The Argentine animated short film, The Employment, touched millions of people. In just 7 minutes, it captured the tragedy of a mindless existence. Every morning at 7:15, a bald man turns off his alarm, gets up, washes, commutes, and goes to work. All in robotic fashion. His face is blank, his actions mechanical, as if he were following programmed instructions. Even more unsettling, all the objects in the film are human tools. Someone serves as a table, someone else as a coat rack. The bald man's job? He's a doormat at the office entrance. In Cognitive Awakening, Zhou Ling uses this image to describe what she calls awake sleepers, people who look awake, but whose minds and spirits are long asleep. She says that, barring accidents, most people follow the default track of life: school, job, marriage, living on autopilot. Not too bad, not too good, just ordinary. Though nothing seems clearly wrong, life starts to feel unbearably boring. Even when we muster the strength to make a change, it rarely lasts more than a few days before we fall back into old patterns. Have you ever felt like that? You sign up for an online course full of enthusiasm, only to stop halfway. You buy books, flip through a few pages, and nothing in your life really changes. Your job feels stagnant, and after work, all you want to do is scroll your phone or play games. Mentally and physically lazy, no goals, no structure. You drift like a leaf in the wind, eventually stuck in the mud. Zhou Ling shares the story of a garbage collector named Carol in the US who won $9.7 million in the lottery. Overnight, he became a multimillionaire. But to Carol, life was just about eating, drinking, and having fun. He bought mansions, luxury cars, then fell into gambling. After 7 years of reckless living, all his money was gone, and he went right back to collecting garbage. This surreal story shows one thing: fate cannot change without cognition. If your mind is asleep and your thinking is shallow, the world will always lead you by the nose. As the book says, if we never awaken cognitively, we'll never truly understand ourselves and never have a say in our destiny. If you want to go from passive to proactive, you must awaken your brain and begin to explore the inner world of your mind. And it's from this moment of awakening that the true differences between people begin to emerge. Only by awakening our cognition can we continue to evolve. In the book, Zhou Ling shares a personal story. Years ago, she decided to learn computer programming in her spare time. After about 6 months, her company needed to upgrade its office software and hired external programmers. But the outsiders didn't understand the company's specific operations. At that critical moment, Zhou Ling became the perfect bridge. She understood both the business and the programming. She helped solve the problem and as a result, was promoted to a core position in the company. Encouraged by the rewards of learning, she later ventured into writing and started a blog. After 3 years of dedication, she gained a large following and published 3 books. Now, Zhou Ling is a successful quote-unquote/career woman, far ahead of her peers. She often says that her transformation began the year she quote-unquote opened her eyes, end quote, at age 36. Had she not acknowledged her past failures and recognized her downward spiral, she would never have changed. Only through cognitive awakening can we evolve. Only by waking up from confusion can we clearly see our situation and find a way forward. In an interview, Lei Jun once asked investor Leo Chin, "What's the secret to your success?" Liu answered, "Heaven rewards the diligent. As long as you work hard, you'll be a good investor." Lei Jun shook his head and replied, "Heaven doesn't always reward hard work. If all you do is repeat low-value tasks, then no amount of effort will help." There's a saying, the gap between people lies in 3 kinds of information differences. The first is resources, I have what you don't. The second is skills, I know what you can't do. The third, and most powerful, is cognition. I understand what you don't even see. You can search for resources, you can learn skills, but cognition, that depends on personal awakening, and that's not easy to achieve. That's why we often say, you can only live within the limits of your own understanding. With the same luck or conditions, those who see patterns and principles turn luck into strength. Those who see further see more opportunities. Zhou Ling writes, "Only by intentionally improving yourself can you begin to separate from the crowd. If you want to stand out, your cognition must awaken first. Only then will new possibilities unfold." There's a story of a traveler who met a nomadic tribe and asked their elder, "Did you move because the previous land became unlivable?" To his surprise, the elder replied, "No, it was too comfortable. That's why we left." Comfort makes our survival skills decay. Only by moving regularly, he explained, could the tribe push themselves to grow. Survival has always been a race of evolution, and today, what needs to evolve most is our mind. The book offers practical advice on this too. Use your rational brain to find key moments of breakthrough in thinking. Zhou Ling compares the human brain to a company with 3 employees: the instinctual brain, the emotional brain, and the rational brain. The first 2 care only about short-term comfort. Only the rational one drives deeper thinking. If we don't consciously activate it, we stay stuck in the comfort zone, seeking instant gratification and indulging in easy pleasures. That's why we scroll mindlessly on our phones instead of reading, studying, or learning real skills. The first step of cognitive awakening is resisting this laziness and building the habit of thinking. But how do we think more effectively? Zhou Ling suggests, whenever you read something difficult or inspiring, pause and ask yourself, what is this really saying? How does it relate to me? How can I apply it? Thinking is like tugging on a rope. And sometimes, that rope pulls out a whole elephant from your mind. Deep learning also plays a key role. In 1946, Edgar Dale proposed the learning pyramid. It divides learning into 2 types, passive and active. Passive learning, lectures, reading, watching, leads to only 5 to 30% retention. Active learning, discussion, practice, teaching others, leads to up to 90% retention. Why? Passive learning stays on the surface. Active learning reaches the core, but deep learning takes patience and discipline. You must commit to completing online courses, go further into advanced studies, not give up halfway through a book. Turn lifelong learning into your tool for transformation. Step by step, move outside your comfort zone and let time do its magic. Ever tried starting a workout routine but quit in a few days? Either the goal was too easy and boring or too hard and overwhelming. In work and study, we either avoid pressure or set standards too high. The result? No real growth. Zhou Ling says the best way to unlock your potential is to find your stretch zone, where challenges excite but don't crush you. Psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi called this the flow state. When you feel bored, raise the difficulty. When you feel a little anxious, you're probably at the perfect challenge level. Stay there and focus. Through this back and forth between anxiety and comfort, you can enter flow, where learning becomes fast, fun, and fulfilling. Whatever you're learning, find the edge of your comfort zone, then slowly push it outward. Step by step, you'll expand your cognitive territory and build a wider knowledge map. Zhou Ling once ran an online Q&A column and worked as a personal growth coach. When asked how to escape hardship, she often answered with one word: awareness. Since ancient times, this has been the path of growth for high achievers. And that one word captures the heart of cognitive awakening. Every leap you make in life begins with a shift in how you think. Some have summed it up in a simple formula: strong intention, plus deep thinking, plus self-reflection, plus action equals change. In today's world, competition is no longer about strength or luck. It's about brain power. And only those who stay cognitively ahead will be the ones who win in the end.